Yes, it's Friday night once again, folks, on the bus. So, of course, you know what that means. It's time to get that Friday feeling, and there's certainly a good feeling in the air through the week. We smashed a plastic club, and this week our attention turns to a plastic pitch. How poetic. But yes, we are here tonight to talk about Celtic v Kilmarnock as well as that amazing game through the week. Why wouldn't we? Let's keep talking about that. Fantastic. Looking forward to getting my teeth into that one. But yes, Friday night on the bus, it's tradition, it's heritage. And of course, who's joining me tonight? Of course, the wise man is here. Canada's favourite Tim. How you doing, Liam?
I'm doing great, Phil. I'm doing great, Pam. How are you? As you can see, the horns are back right now because...
if you just move your head just a wee bit to the... perfect.
Right, horns are back. I mean, if those last two games didn't get a horn, I don't know what will. Celtic has played sexy football. Sexy football is back. We're owning it. Aye. Make Celtic sexy again. Very sexy.
How good are we? That's always good of it. How great we are. How great it is to be a Celtic fan. Yeah, what a fantastic week it's been in there. I say, can't wait. You're right, sexy football indeed. It's certainly been that. So yeah, looking forward to talk about it. Of course, Pam, been a few weeks since you've been on, but it's good to see you again. I imagine you're doing pretty well tonight, given how this week's went.
I am smiling like an absolute Egypt. I've been smiling like an Egypt since when we beat Leipzig. It's just been absolutely amazing. I've been walking, when I've been walking, I have a little pep in my step. I've got that swag back. It feels like, it's always felt cool to be a Celtic fan, but now I just feel like a fucking boss.
Champions League, piece of piss, easy. We've mastered this. We've got this down. I see a lot of fans of bigger teams from England and whatnot moaning about the new format, and I'm like, away. Here. It's fantastic. Loving this new format. What a breeze. We're definitely adapted to it pretty well. So, yeah, see, we're doing okay. So let's keep it going, Celtic. Let's keep that going. But before we go any further, folks, just remember to do all that good stuff. Help us out massively on the bus. Hit that like button. Helps us out massively again on the old algorithms on YouTube. Gets us recommended to more people who enjoy Celtic podcasts. The bus might happen to pop up in their recommendations if you hit that like button, because YouTube loves interactive channels. Of course, get involved in our comment section tonight, like many's already doing. Let's see who's in. Joe Hendry's in. We've got P's in. Jim C. Who else have we got? Jimmy Six Pouches. There's a new name, one we've not seen before. Yeah, and there we go. So yeah, we've got a few of the regulars. 21 at the moment watching live, but that will go up as we go on through the night. Of course, you can hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. Keep the bus in your life that wee bit longer. So hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification. You'll be notified when we're on the road, which is plenty of times during the week. And, of course, you can share the like on the Voicey Bus far and wide on whatever social media platform hasn't absolutely imploded and burnt itself to the ground. And amongst all the other unhinged tweets and whatnot that's going on, put a wee link out there for the Voicey Bus. People might spot it. You never know. And, yeah, of course, head over to piesports.com. Use the code BUS1888 and get 12.5% off of your order. And yeah, with all that said and done, all that in the can now, yeah, let's get into it. So we're looking ahead to the Kilmarnock game before another, say it quietly, folks, dreaded international break. Boo. Last one though, thankfully, so that's good before, I think it's March next year before we get another one. So we've got a good run ahead of us of no international breaks, but yes, the game against Kelly will be just before the final international break of the year. So we're looking forward to that later on. But first and foremost, we've not really had our say on it yet. And I say, well, people aren't going to complain if we're still talking about it. So yeah, RB Leipzig through the week. I was actually in the stadium for the game. Fantastic. It's up there as one of the best European nights I've had a chance to experience, because recent years in Europe, especially at home, it's not been fun. There's been some absolute doings that we've taken. But no, it looks like Liam, Celtic are learning after the Dortmund debacle. It looks like, Brendan Rodgers for the last two results, I would say a bonus point in Bergamo, which most people at the start of the campaign, looking at our fixtures, would have thought, that game's a free hit. We should be looking at Zagreb as the away game that we might get something, but we've ended up getting a point in Bergamo. And then, Leipzig was looked out of the home games that we've got. The Leipzig one was looked at as probably the hardest one. And me in particular, I even said before the game, I'll take a point right now against Leipzig. My feeling was I'd love to win. Amazing if we win this game, but I was looking at Leipzig, second in the Bundesliga, so arguably better than Borussia Dortmund. They did beat us a couple of years ago when Ange was in charge. They came to Celtic Park and pretty much dusted us aside. So I was thinking about, I would take a point right now, sets us up nicely for the next 2 games, but we've ended up getting the 3 points, and deservedly so. We absolutely ran the show from start to finish, essentially. A wee 5-minute spell either side of their goal, we looked a wee bit shaky. But what I just loved, Liam, was we didn't get faced by that. How many times have you seen in recent years where that has happened to us at home? It kills the crowd and everything just seems to spiral after that. But it was a really mature performance, would be the first thing I would say, Liam.
I remember seeing a shift during Ange's time here when there was a shift in the team, the way they played, and it was during the UEFA night. And I think it was the one when Jota fished one out the corner and then sort of half volleyed it all the way to Kyogo, and it went in. Yeah. And you sort of see there was a shape, there was something forming. I think this is clear intention that we're actually seeing. Like when we were all saying about Rodgers coming in, it's like, right, can you improve us in Europe? That's what we're going to judge you by. And we all knew that would be the how we evaluate him. I think we're seeing right now, okay, what we're seeing right now is measurable. We can see that, okay, here's some things that we have not seen happen before. And it wasn't through luck or like decisions or anything. I think the referee had very little to do with the game. I thought he was very lenient to them, I thought, at some point. But I think what you saw was a team that sort of bought into a process, and you could see it clicking. And you could see it clicking with every player that came on. Everybody had an intensity. Everybody had a hunger. And again, there was momentum. It just seemed like all the cogs were working. I thought Callum McGregor, he was always a big part of that. I always say when he gets the timing right, the timing is the team is right. And it's getting him up to that speed. When he plays at that speed where he's buzzing about all the time, that's when we look really, really good. And I think that's what we saw the other night. We saw Prime McGregor buzzing around, being that linchpin and letting the other players do what we brought them in to do. Score goals, create chances, defend well, all that. But he needed to be the spark and he needed to provide the tempo. And that was good. And all right, let's keep that going,
Oh, he certainly did. He was a standout performer, but then again, everybody was standout. I thought there's nobody you could really fault at all. A night like that, performance like that. And Pam, I saw that Brendan Rodgers used the word a generational performance. That's how he put it over Leipzig. A generational. I mean, recently we have been used to taking a few doings at home in the Champions League off of half-decent teams. But as it stands right now, we've actually now won 3 home games in the Champions League in a row, beating Feyenoord last season, dead rubber or not, and obviously Bratislava and now Leipzig. So it's good to see that we're actually winning home games again, because how many times do we say at Pam that the Celtic Park's got to be the key for us in these European competitions? It's got to be a fortress. It's been well known that we don't travel particularly well in Europe for many years, so we have to make the home games count. And recently, obviously, that has went down the Swanee, to say the least. But no, we seem to have now turned the corner. And one of the things that I'm taking great satisfaction from in this is many detractors of Brendan Rodgers, when he came back, said that we won't do anything in Europe at all under Brendan. And to be fair, his record before that, even with Liverpool, he had a shocking record in Europe. And before his first spell with Celtic, we got a doing off a PSG and Barcelona, and last season Atletico Madrid and even Dortmund just a couple of months ago. So there was that fear that maybe it's just not meant to be. We can dominate in Scotland all you want. But remember, Brendan did say, Pam, when he came back, and people did sort of roll their eyes and think, oh, just Brendan being Brendan. He wanted to try and do something in Europe and make a bit of a mark. Are Celtic going to go on and win the Champions League? No, of course they're not. But can they at least get through the knockout stages, which before the competition started, we would happily have taken? Then, yeah, it's definitely in our hands now. And it's just great to see, Pam, that whatever Brendan's doing, it's now starting to work. It's starting to pay off.
100%. I mean, yeah, when he said the same at first, I thought, oh, geez, this is just more bravado from Brendan. I didn't take it too seriously either. I kind of lost my faith in, us performing well in European football. Last year, I even found that the draw against Lazio felt like a win because I was just looking for something so much. But now, God, good results in Europe, they're coming like buses. You know, we had Slovan Bratislava, the draw against Atalanta, who recently beat Napoli in the Serie A 3-0. So that's a really good result, even though it's a draw, just a draw. Mm. And then the win against Leipzig, which I think they're second in the Bundesliga. You know, like these are not little results. They're big, they're massive, and it's just such a contrast even from last year. Mm. You know, it's like, as I said, they're coming like buses now, and you know, it's. You know, I don't know if I'd go as far to say it's, you know, generational, because I think Lenny gave us some magic moments in Europe, but it certainly is a transformation, and I'm so happy to see it. And yeah, I hope he keeps going, you know, just keep going, see how far we can get.
Yeah, exactly. I say right now we've got through. When you look at the fixtures, obviously the Aston Villa game is the last game, and that's going to be difficult in itself. But people looked at Atalanta, Dortmund, and Leipzig, 3 games in a row. Essentially, it's like they were getting them out the way early. How many points we're going to have after 4 games? Many people wouldn't have thought 7 points, me included as well. But yeah, here we are. We've set ourselves up nicely, and that's not to say that we'll just turn up against Club Brugge in the next game, Liam, and just walk all over them. I know they had a good result against Aston Villa through the week, albeit the penalty that they got was right out of an absolute farcical situation. That was insane, where Tyrone Mings picked the ball up when he didn't realise the ball was in play, but referee's got no choice but to give a penalty. But I still think after beating Leipzig, and I know some fans are suddenly going into caution mode again because we've been here before, we've had our fingers burnt, we've maybe got a bit too ahead of ourselves, but I just think after that performance and the heroics in Bergamo, yeah, Bruges will turn up, they'll be stodgy, they'll make it a bit difficult for us, but I still think we should be looking to dust them aside. And then after that, we've hit the fabled 10 points. The quicker we can get to this 10 points that we keep talking about, then all the better. And of course, one man, Liam, that is going to be very crucial for another man that I think we need to highlight from the other night. Rio Hatate's best performance in Europe, do you reckon? I would say it's got to be into. I mean, he's one of guy that we've, you know, said that he has to deliver on the big stage. The man himself has said that, you know, he wants to, you know, he's talking about that next step after Celtic, and it's like, well, if you want that big move, you want that Matt O'Reilly style move, you're going to have to perform on the Champions League level. And other than an incredible pass against Real Madrid 2 seasons ago, which still gets talked about to this day, in a game that we still lost, Hatate had kind of been, you know, hot and cold essentially, but that performance on Tuesday night, coupled with how he played against Aberdeen at Hampden a few days before as well, because he was excellent in that game. Are we now starting to see Hatate coming into his own under Brendan? Because that was a bit of a concern, and I put myself in that category as well. Is how much is Hatate really buying into Brendan Rodgers and vice versa? I always felt there was a bit of tough love going on there from Brendan when it came to Hatate, because we know how good he can be when he's on his game. I think we're starting to see it now, and that relief when he scored that goal as well. The joy in his face, for all the talk, all the body language experts out there, Liam, that talk about how he always looks in a bit of a huff. He certainly didn't look in a huff on Tuesday night when he put that one in the net.
Mate, that was an iconic rock and roll football poster shot for cover of Shoot magazine back in the 70s or 80s. That goal celebration of him punching the air, you could tell that was just him letting it all out there. And so that showed it Sunday. I think he was proving it to himself, because I think he's got standards, and I think the way he pounced on that ball and dug it out as well, like, that wasn't as easy a finish as it looked. He wasn't hitting it; he had to scoop it out of the keeper still that was still in front of him. You know, mm-hmm. I know he bobbled it, but he made no mistake, put it right into the roof, and what a game! I mean, that's everything we hoped he'd be. You know, so. I think the next one will say, all right, so can you do it on a plastic pitch in Kilmarnock? You know, West Coast of Scotland, can you do it there? That's what we'll see. We'll see that coming up this weekend for Hatate. But for on the night, I think he done really well. I think he combined well with people. I think that second goal where we tracked all their players down, just annihilated them with the press, and include Greg Taylor in that as well, getting to the byline, the vision to get in there, just the effort, everything required to score that goal was absolutely brilliant. And, you know, and I thought that was where you saw Hatate doing the little things we don't normally see him do.
Yeah.
But been a big part of that as well. He helped unlock that with aggression, tenacity, and then a bit of flair and individual skill as well that took it to the byline and get the ball across to Greg Taylor. And as well, you know.
Greg Taylor on your mind, aye.
It's sexy football. I don't care who plays it.
He's got a reprieve now. But the man, of course, who did score, again, we bring him up quite a lot, Pam, but Nicholas Kuhn's having an absolutely... We're talking about the word generational. He's having a generational season right now, the way he's playing, the numbers he's putting up. I saw before the game as well on Tuesday, there was some, like, German football account, and it did, like, a report on Kuhn talking about his numbers, and it's like, stop highlighting them to the German teams, you know, stop it. We're not trying to sell them, but that performance he put in, obviously now German teams will be sitting up, a lot of teams will be sitting up and taking notice. Sadly, it's the world that we live in with Celtic. But yeah, honestly, the equaliser, that's up there as one of the best goals I think we've scored in Europe. That one, the Nicholas Kuhn's first goal, was absolutely unreal. Because, like, I always say it about Celtic, the goals we always seem to concede in Europe are always down to some absolute, calamity, some sort of stupid mistake. We've gave away a penalty, we've slack play or whatnot, we've passed it right to them, just something. And very rarely do we have worldies scored against us. But when we do score, we usually have to work extra hard for it. But that goal when he cut in, and I was stunned that people had the audacity, not necessarily Celtic fans, but there were people that had the audacity to suggest that he tried to cross that and it was actually from Maeda. And I'm like, away, get out of here. That is not a cross at all. He is purposely went for that. He's cut in many times this season on his left foot, his stronger foot coming in from the outside. The Arjen Robben move, Arjen Robben made it his trademark for years and years, cutting in from that side. One of the things that I thought, though, at times this season, that he could just get the ball away a bit quicker. Sometimes he seems a bit indecisive when he wants to release the ball. But my word, release the ball, he certainly did when he let that one go. But that was, and that only came, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes after we went a goal down. So it was such a momentum shift at that point. But what can we say more about Nicholas Kuhn right now, Pam? Have you any words that could possibly sum it up right now that we haven't already used?
I mean, this is coming from a very personal perspective, but Nicholas Kuhn's made me completely forget about it, and he was my favourite player. So that's really saying something. I mean, he's absolutely magnificent. I also noticed that some of the German media, like the German newspapers, were calling him a German no-name. Mm-hmm. And I'm there thinking, by God, did Kuhn prove them wrong? They're all going to know his name, and I'm absolutely buzzing for him. He had one hell of a game. They all had one hell of a game, but, as you said, hopefully, if that isn't a boost for their confidence, I don't know what is. I think he'll take it and he'll run it and keep going. But I'm very, very happy he's there. And, I was expecting him to improve a bit from when he first joined Celtic, but I wasn't expecting him to improve this much. And I'm just absolutely loving every minute of it.
Yeah, and that report you're talking about, I don't know if it was just badly translated out of German, but yeah, it came across really bad when you
arrogant.
It's like German, what was it, no name or whatever they called him. I'm essentially saying a no mark, a nobody, but he had no problems. I know there's a whole thing in this in the modern day world of football, scoring against your former clubs and just being like not celebrating. Apparently he was at Leipzig as a youngster, and obviously he let them know all about it. He was shushing them and everything, so he had no problems letting them know how he felt after that goal. But no, he was excellent, and he was in the right place at the right time. In fact, a goal that is very similar to something we've seen many times over the last few years, even under Ange. Somebody gets to the byline, zips a ball across, and there's the winger who's ran in at the back post for a tap-in. Abada used to do it a lot for us as well. It's such a trademark move for Celtic these days, and it's continued on under Brendan, just zipping that ball across. And yeah, it's just just a phenomenal night. And now the thing is, well, with that goal when it came, the second one, right before half time, so crucial, because I think at that point, if I'm in the stadium, obviously we just went into stoppage time and it was like 1 minute or 2 minutes added, and usually the game can kind of just sort of fizzle out going into half time, but the sort of like tenacity we showed to just keep going and get that goal, I think Leipzig were stunned by it, because we won that ball back with a high press, so you've only got like 30 seconds or so left where the referee's going to go for half time, get in the box, do it. Just get it in the box and just see what happens. And yeah, we took a gamble and it paid off. So Hatate did fantastic getting to the byline and zipping that ball across and couldn't right place, right time. Exactly what you want to score, right on half time. Changes the whole dynamic for both managers going in at the break. Because obviously Leipzig, they're going in at 1-1 after losing a bit of momentum, but then suddenly their whole team talk changes. Yeah, they looked shell-shocked. Somebody already said the chat, I think it was Patrick McLaughlin, said the last 15 minutes was generally like, we just ran over a team in the SPL as usual. Like, they just gave up. They just didn't have anything in the last 15 minutes. They were absolutely run into the ground. But for whatever reason, they're second in the Bundesliga, and we they're actually not won a single game yet in the Champions League, which is quite remarkable given their standing in the domestic league. But yeah, Celtic pick up the points and sets us up nice for the next game when it comes along against Bruges in about 3-4 weeks time. So yeah, that'll be some buzz when it comes along. But Liam, let's talk about one man as well that did play on Tuesday night, had a good game like the rest of them, and talk of a new contract. It's not the full back that you might think it is, because we also talk about Greg Taylor on a Friday night. We know that the Greg Taylor contract situation, we'll get onto that in a moment, because it's Friday night on the bus. We have to talk about Greg Taylor at some point. But Alistair Johnson, new contract apparently is on the table. I think it's deserved. I think his performances recently have been fantastic. Has he been a perfect signing since he signed? No, I think Mark highlights it pretty well. There's been a lot of times when he's had a few clangers here and there, but I think in recent weeks, something, his performances have just been fantastic. He's definitely had his Weetabix in the morning. Unbelievable, some of the shifts he's been putting in. In fact, if it goes back to even the tail end of last season, there seemed to just be a point, maybe about the springtime, where Alistair Johnson really, started to come to the fore. And how many goals has he got this season? Is it 4 goals he scored? There you go, a right back scoring goals. How much does that make him worth? And given that we hear about a certain other right back that always scores, they talk about the prices for him. Does that make Alistair Johnson worth? But with this new contract, Liam, that Celtic put on the table, how do you look at this one? Is this simply Celtic just doing their protecting their asset in case they do sell him in the next couple of years and try to get as much money? Or do you think Alistair Johnson is the type of personality that he's going to be here for a while? I'll draw comparisons to another right back, a bit of a maniac as well. But it was Mikael Lustig, somebody who bought into the club when he came in. And probably I would say that, we're looking at our right backs over the sort of last couple of decades. I'd say Lustig's probably, up there as one of the best ones. Probably his legs went in the last couple of seasons, but there was a point in time where Lustig was unbelievable, getting up that wing, getting crosses in and defended like an absolute warrior. Alistair Johnson, do you think he could be a Mikael Lustig style and stay have like 8-9 seasons? Or is this Celtic merely just thinking, well, he's on a hot streak here, we need to tie him down and push his value up a little bit just in case?
I think it's a number of things, Phil. I think all the things, are correct, and I think they're all deserved. He's having a good season, and I agree with Mark as well. There's still deficiencies in the way he plays. He gets turned going in toward the inside of our box. He's better when he's pushing a guy towards a corner flag. If somebody cuts inside him, he panics a wee bit now and again. We've seen that against some of the previous Rangers incarnations, right? But overall, he's good, and he's playing well for the Canadian national team. And the Canadian national team's getting a lot of eyeballs on him now. He's got one of their best players that plays for Inter Milan just coming back, Boy Buchanan. We've got the boy that's going for fun, Jonathan David right now. I think he's with, one of the French teams. I think it's Lyon maybe. Alphonso Davies, he's in the team of the week for the Champions League. Yeah, there's a lot of really good Canadian players right now. So one of the other things might be as well as World Cup's being hosted here and in America. So there's going to be a push with the Canadian breweries, the advertising and all that to lock up certain players as well and start their, the marketing and all that with them. And that might be Celtic tying in just some of that as well. Like those sort of looks, it might be renegotiating the contract because he's probably going to end up having a lot of visibility, especially Adidas as well, bringing in as well as one of their new, prestige teams, So I think you're going to see it might be a big marketing push as well too, and I imagine you'll be seeing Alistair Johnson's face all over Canada and beer commercials and stuff like that. The way they do it with hockey and NHL, because it's a big deal. We've got a team in the World Cup, and we're a host, so
he'll be taking your mantle of Canada's favourite Tim at this rate. His face all over the place. He's certainly deserved it, but yeah, Pam, AJ's definitely switched it on in recent months, and it'd be thoroughly deserved for him to get that contract extension. And I do feel that he is somebody that probably could be here for a few more years. I don't think he's in any great hurry, but again, you know how quickly football can change. I even said at the start of the year I was quite confident that Matt O'Reilly isn't going to go. His body language, everything about him tells me he's quite happy being his social media posts, but football can change, and obviously those in charge can make those decisions whether the player doesn't want it or not. But what do you wish to say about Alistair Johnson's recent performances, Pam? What superlatives can you add to the list right now?
Well, I definitely think there's a contrast between this season and last season. I thought last season he was very up and down, whereas this season he's more consistent and he's built back up again. He reminds me of the Alistair Johnson he was in the second half of Andrew's last season, I think, where he had that great debut against Sevco in the Glasgow Derby. Like, he's coming back to that level of performance, in my opinion. And, you know, whenever I watch interviews with him, even if it's just the post-match interview or when he's in the conference room, he does talk with a lot of love for Celtic, more than I noticed Matt O'Reilly did personally. Part of that could be because he has, you know, Celtic roots. You know, he has his Scottish, he has his Irish roots. So that could be like a personal bias to him. But also part of me thinks it's because that's the team that got him out of MLS. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't like MLS, but I don't think it's a great league if you really want to grow your skills a lot. You know, it's compared to other leagues around the world, it's not very good. So I think there could be that as well. You know, he realized he's in a good spot, so he might try and stick for as long as he can. But as you said, Phil, you know, you never know. You know, money can take people in weird directions. So, but overall, I'm really happy. I think he's not only increasing his performance, but he's increasing the consistency, and that's what's most important, in my opinion.
Oh, without a shadow of doubt. And also, Liam, I've got a question here regarding AJ, because you are a Canada expert, being out there in Vancouver. Joe Henry has asked, where in Canada is he from, Liam? And the thing is, I'm pretty sure you said to us at one of the Celtic games you were watching in your supporters club, a relative of his turned up.
No. There's I wasn't in our club. I think that was in somebody else's. Okay. But I suppose he's born here, and then his family moved to Toronto, Aurelia. I mean, supposedly him and his brother grew up with Connor McDavid, who's probably the most famous hockey player in Canada right now. They were all mates and played road hockey and all that stuff together. I remember seeing that on a message board here, or my brother was telling me or something. But I supposedly here, then Toronto, so he grew up basically fringes of Toronto, and then played his football, I think, somewhere in the States, like either Nashville,
Wake Forest, the Carolinas,
and Montreal. I mean, so he's lived in all the three big cities in Canada, you know, Canada, Montreal. I mean, if you're going to market him, he's a great guy to market, because he's like, he's good. He's a good interview. You know, he comes across well, speaks well. And I remember before, anytime you see teams hosting the World Cup, there's always the desire to get some of the players back to play with the clubs before, you know, that season before it happens. And so there might be a pull. And again, you never know what sort of sponsorship's being offered to him to come back and maybe play a season in North America before the World Cup. You know, so but I mean, I think we better seeing him in the Champions League and seeing all the Canadian players now playing at the highest level, which is unprecedented. You know, there's been a few that have struggled, but you never knew they were Canadian. You know.
Well, something that I've said for a while about, you know, some of these nations nowadays that are just getting better, and I said it in the run-up to the European Championships, about Celtic should start looking at these nations that maybe 10, 15 years ago were unfashionable. I talked about teams like, Albania and stuff like that. And then you look over on the other side of the Atlantic, Canada. Canada, growing up watching World Cups and whatnot, Canada were never a regular fixture at any of these sorts of tournaments, but they did really well in the Copa America in the summer there. They got to the semi-finals, and they were at the last World Cup in Qatar, I'm right saying, yeah, because obviously Alistair Johnson played in that one. It was against Belgium. There was a sort of standout performance in the first group game. They were really unlucky to lose to Belgium, from what I remember. So these nations are starting to get better. They're starting to produce better players, and these are the types of markets that Celtic need to start looking in before the big teams catch on. I mean, you've just mentioned there, Liam, that Alphonso Davies plays for Bayern Munich, and you've got Buchanan that plays for Inter. So some big teams from big leagues have caught on regarding Canada and are picking these players up. So they are getting better, and they're not to just be Canada, 10, 15 years ago. Who were they? So they're producing some top players. So they're definitely a market that we need to be looking at. There's definitely some talent there to be found. And let's move on then to the other side of the park. And it's Friday night. It's Heritage on the bus. It's time to talk about our favourite person. And of course, Graham isn't even in the chat. Graham Tyrrell to sound the klaxon. But Greg Taylor contract. Let's talk about that, because obviously I've got a wee bit of a theory on this. I do think we are starting to see the sort of phasing out of Greg Taylor. I think the fact that Vallier is starting to get a lot more game time since Taylor's come back from his injury. He hasn't been thrown in there. Don't get me wrong, the manager could be just slowly phasing him back in. But I think Vallier is starting to show that, what he's got. And there is, of course, a bit of a worry, Pam, as well, that Barcelona, again, this could just be some sensationalist story. The Barcelona have got a bit of an injury crisis just now, and they might recall Vallier in the winter break. Hopefully not. But that would leave us in a bit of a position. But obviously, Greg Taylor, as far as we know, has been offered the contract, hasn't signed it. That's totally fine. If he hasn't, at the end of the day, the boy has won everything that he can win at Celtic. Maybe he fancies a new challenge, but I just feel like we're starting to see a bit of a phasing out going on here regarding Taylor. And if it's possible to get Vallier in the summer for what we believe will be about 2.53 million, then that might be what Brendan's working towards here. How are you feeling about it, Pam?
I'm thinking along the lines of yourself as well, Phil. Greg Taylor, he's been with us for quite a while. He was with us for around 5 years. So I wouldn't be surprised, if something's happening, he's starting, his career here is trying to come to an end a wee bit. I do notice a considerable difference between Taylor and Valle, to be honest. Or Valle, excuse me. I do feel like we are more secure at left back with Valle instead of Taylor. I really hope you're right, Kenneth, because I don't really want to see him go until the end of the season at least. I have a feeling Brendan may be looking at other left backs are sort of similar to Valle. That we can get on a more permanent basis and not just like a season-long loan. Because I don't believe we have an option to buy at the end of this. I think it's just a loan.
Yeah, it's just a loan, but there's no thing in the contract. But apparently he signed a year-long extension so that he doesn't leave Barcelona till the next summer. But that means when 2025 summer comes, he's still got a year to go, so they can still recoup a transfer fee. But I believe they're looking for something in the region of 2.5 to 3 million was the reports. But who knows, Barcelona might push that price up depending how well he plays. That's
the thing. I mean, so I think Brendan would be looking at getting a different player whose playing style is more similar to Valle and, who has a similar similar capability level as well. Because Greg Taylor, for me, he falls short. I constantly notice Liam Scales having to come over and support him, Maeda having to come back and support him in a way that Johnson doesn't necessarily need to be supported by CCV or Kuhn. Like, he definitely, sadly to say it, but he is a bit of a weak link. So I would not be surprised if he is being slowly phased out and this season will be his last. I mean, he's had a good career. As he said, he's won everything he can. And, he's had some pretty good seasons with us. So, maybe it's just the end. Just time to move on. Time for a change. Simple as.
Yeah, that happens. The players, can decide that they fancy a new challenge. It's not outside the realms of possibility. So if that's the way it's going, this is right now, that's just a theory. They feel like maybe that's happening. Maybe the 11th hour we'll get an announcement that he's signed a new deal. But what I think is as well, Liam, it'd be very hard, I think, for Celtic to let his contract run down and let him go for nothing. Celtic being the way they are and the way they operate as a club in terms of their finances, to let a player go for nothing where they can still recoup something for him does seem a bit uncharacteristic. I've used the example before, but like Joe Ledley got down to the last 6 months and they got 300,000 for him just to get something for him. I'd be quite surprised if we get to January and Celtic let January pass and then he still hasn't signed any new deals. Obviously, he can sign a pre-contract with somebody at that point. Now, we know how you feel about Gregory. We certainly know how you feel about him. But yeah, do you feel that this is the sort of like he is sort of being phased out essentially in value as potentially the future?
You never know. It might be his thing as well, where maybe he's sick of Scotland. You know, maybe he's sick of just going to work in the same place and all that way. And he just wants to go and explore a wee bit more of the world. I mean, me and Pam, we get that feeling, right? And I'm sure a lot of the viewers all over the world, and even just moving to different parts of Glasgow and all that. I mean, sometimes you just need change. And that might be what he wants, and it might be a big part of just why he plays professional football and that. You know, I know how I feel about Greg Taylor. Yeah, I think we can do a lot better. Don't fault him. He seems like an alright wee guy. And he might end up over here in North America. I think that might be one of the only places we might get money for him, or get half decent money for him. Because they can market Greg Taylor, especially here if he came to Vancouver with the two other Scottish boys ripping it up, Armstrong and Gould, and you know you could see that whole sort of Lennon team making its way over here, you know, Christie and all that. I think they would sort of do well in this sort of North American game, where it's more buzzing about and you know, and it's not as pressy as the game as in Scotland, and you know, and aggressive. But yeah, I'm happy to see Valley come in and at least give us an option now where it's not given to Greg Taylor by default. One of the most frustrating things about watching the whole Greg Taylor thing was because there wasn't another option, and it wasn't fair to Greg Taylor. And it's not fair to the fans who expectations every week. It's like, why aren't we fixing this? So I know I'm hoping something gets done about it. The only last thing I'm going to throw out there is a left back. It's available right now. He might be a bit of a problem. My God, he is box office. He is dynamite. I would love to see him against Rangers. I'd love to see him playing with us at left back. Marcelo, come on, man.
You keep trying to manifest that. You keep doing it.
Can handle Marcelo. He'd do amazing in Celtic.
He's on a free agent right now, isn't he?
Aye. He got in a fight with his coach, I think, and
you're not selling this to me here, Liam.
Oh, no.
As a backup.
I think he'd be amazing in the hoops.
Oh, Marcelo. How much money would he want at what age is he now? About 40?
No.
He'd be on quite a bit. Oh, I had a fight with his coach, though, of course. He learned that from Sergio Ramos and Pepe playing alongside them for years at Real Madrid. That's where he learned that one from. But a hothead there. But no, I hope we don't find ourselves in a situation where, you know, we've got one left back. Because if Greg Taylor does get pushed out the door in January to just recoup some kind of money, there has to be somebody else coming in. Because again, what happened last season, we took a chance on just having Greg Taylor on our books for half a season while Bernabé went away to Brazil on loan. And if Greg Taylor had got any sort of long-term injury, then we were absolutely screwed for it come to our left back. So, yeah, hopefully we'll have some kind of options there if Greg Taylor does happen to depart in January. But at the moment, he hasn't signed any new deal. We'll just see what Celtic do when the transfer window rolls around. Okay, so let's now move on to Sunday's game. Obviously, we're off to Kilmarnock, to say at the top of the show there. Plastic club through the week, plastic pitch at the weekend. So, yes, the good old plastic pitch we just love to moan about. I actually saw a Killie fan recently on social media, and I think this is a fair point. The plastic pitch only becomes an issue when you don't get a result on it. And it's like, you can't really, because we have went there and we have won. we've done it over the years. They've been a bit of a sticky team at times for us. They have caused us some problems. Last season, they caused us a few problems. But yeah, well, obviously at the end of the season, we trounced them 5-0, won the league title. But the problem that does come with the pitch, regardless of before the results even happened, is there are certain players who just can't adapt to those conditions and play on those types of pitches, Pam. And we think back to when Jozo Siminovic was here. He didn't get played on any of the plastic pitches. He was always rested by Brendan, and it been Ronnie Dyler before that. But obviously now another centre-back we've got who has, got a few injury problems to say the least. Right now we need to be wrapping him up in cotton wool, Cameron Carter-Vickers. That's my first bit I want to highlight in the team for Sunday. Where do you stand to that one, Pam? Would you be playing him? Or would you just rest him for the time being, because this pitch can be unpredictable? All it takes is one awkwardly timed lunge or a leap for the ball. He lands awkwardly, could do his knee in or anything on that hard surface. So how are you feeling about Carter Vickers? Rest him or play him?
Personally, I wouldn't play Carter Vickers. I think, unfortunately, he's just a little bit too sensitive, and a plastic pitch is a variable I don't want to mess around with. So I've been playing Trusty instead. Exactly, Ian. Another player I am concerned about when it comes to plastic pitches is Kyogo for some reason. He strikes me as kind of like a delicate frame. He's very well skilled, but in terms of his frame, I don't think he can handle a lot of impact. So I play also Ida instead of him. Because you say with the plastic pitch, it tends to be really chaotic. As you said, like one false step and just, shite can hit the fan like that. So I definitely rest, the more delicate players, more injury-prone players, and bring in kind of like the tougher players, definitely.
Yeah, it's Ida did, of course, play last season in that 5-0 victory, and he was phenomenal that night. I think that was... he'd already scored some important goals at that point, up to that stage in his loan, but I think that night was one that many fans who had their doubts over Ida were like, we've got to get this guy, because he was just unreal that night. And maybe it was just because we'd been spooked by Kilmarnock a few times last season with them beating us, but he just absolutely obliterated them. There was points when he was just picking up the ball halfway, in the centre circle and just running at them, and the Killie defenders didn't know how to deal with him at all. So it was definitely a sort of like a performance that really brought him to the forefront. So hopefully if he does play, he can repeat that. But Liam, what do you make of the news, though, that's broken the last couple of days about apparently next season? The rules were from the SPFL that all teams in the top flight must have a plastic pitch, but now somehow Kilmarnock are being allowed to put that back for a year. I noticed, so I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if there's something deeper in that, because in the Championship right now, the league below us, apparently there's 5 teams, I think, that have got a plastic pitch. And there's obviously a risk then one of them is going to win the Championship, come up. And then, how do they get the quick turnaround? Do they get a year leeway to do it or whatever? But apparently the news is that Kilmarnock have got a year extension from somewhere to not change the pitch, even though the rules were to be from next season onwards. So what do you make of that, Liam?
I don't know. You wonder, could they ground share it with Queen's Park or something like that if they take it up and that? Because it's just plastic pitches. They're terrible. They've got them over here in the MLS, and they're shite as well. And there's players like Messi and that come up to Toronto and don't want to play because it's a plastic pitch. I don't know. I think that's just unless there's a way of improving the plastic pitch. So what happened to the main grass? Was it just far too expensive to maintain?
It's because Kilmarnock do not have an official training ground, so they have to train at Rugby Park. And that's why they need an all-weather plastic pitch. And also it means they can rent the pitch out to local community stuff and whatnot. A lot of teams do it in Scotland, like Hamilton Accies and whatnot. But yeah, a lot of teams just don't have a training ground. But I think Killie are getting a training ground. I'm sure there was a story about a year ago that Killie are getting an official training ground built, like a new sports complex built for them. But that's obviously taking time. But also, just to add to the question I asked, Spelda Glovis came in and said that Falkirk and Livy complained. Falkirk, I believe, are still top of the Championship, I want to say. They've been playing pretty well this season. They are one of the ones with the plastic pitch. So again, it's like if they win the league, how do they get it turned around that quickly? It does cost a lot of money for these teams. And last time I checked, there isn't much money in Scottish football, and especially when you go outside of the Premiership, it really, drops pretty harshly after that. Although Livy complaining, do me a favour. I don't want to see Livy back in the Premiership ever again. Ever. Please. They're just dreadful. But yeah, that's the reason, Liam, as to why the Kilmarnock have got the plastic pitch. They don't have a training ground and have to use Rugby Park.
I don't know. Maybe Elon Musk will come up with something for us, and I think that'd be a great way to sort of utilise his newfound powers in the world, to sort of like just fling it by him, Maybe I'll talk next time I'm in close association with him that knows him. I'll say, listen, Elon, plastic pitch ideas, real pitch, plastic pitch. What do you got for us? See if you can bang us up with something. Celtic playing on a Tesla pitch, yeah?
Tesla pitch.
Or just skims. It's great, it's cushy. You just need to, if plastic pitches are going to be a thing, let's start figuring a way how to make them fucking better, rather than the ones that you keep seeing that show up like in Livingston. It looks like concrete with a carpet pulled there it, and like it looks like it's very, I don't know, just some dystopian time warp type thing. It doesn't look like a football pitch.
It looks dreadful on TV, like those games last season where Livingston were playing. I remember there was a game on Sky Live last season, one of the ones where they had to just like cover other teams outside the Celtic and Rangers, and it was Livy against Motherwell. Livy were the home team, and there's hardly any fans in the stadium. There was a wee pocket of Motherwell fans in the corner and just all these empty seats, because all the Livy fans sit on the camera side, and then you've got the pitch just looking horrendous. So it's just like, it's just a pure eyesore, absolute eyesore. But yeah, seems like Kelly are getting a reprieve to keep their pitch for a wee bit longer. But again, come back to the point, it shouldn't be an excuse. We should be going down there and trouncing them. Another name that did come up, Pam, about maybe resting him, which is a bit annoying because he's obviously been on such great form. There's obviously Nicholas Kuhn. There's obviously these wee niggles from time to time with the hamstring and whatnot. So again, don't want to risk it too much, but of course we did see through the week, and this is a bit of a wild card suggestion, Yang did come on and looked pretty good. Do you think there's a chance, Pam, that Yang there might be a resurgence story here for him in his Celtic career, or was Tuesday night just one of these nights where just everything worked and he'll just go back to being how he is? Or do you think that maybe Brendan's starting to get something out of him?
No, I think with Yang, for me personally, I don't believe Brendan makes decisions on a whim. He makes them for a reason. So, if Brendan continues to trust Yang, I trust Brendan, so go for it. I would agree with resting Kuhn against Kelly. I think he had one hell of a game against Leipzig, and in my opinion, he does deserve time to rest, because if you don't let him rest, I fear he will pick up injuries in that sense. So, I would feel better if he did, stay out of the Kelly game personally and, let Yang play. So I don't know. I think after that game, I think Yang will have a real boost of confidence as well. So I think he will, if he is playing, if he is in the starting 11 against Kelly, I think there'll be an even more boost of confidence. And like, I get what you're saying, San Fran, but also from what he was controlling, he did very well. So I get that the opposition wasn't great, but he didn't back down to that level. He didn't just, say, I can take it down a peg or two. He kept going. And to me, that's impressive. He did well. So I say, you know what? Give him another chance to start against Kelly.
Yeah, see, he was very, very unlucky through the week. That 1-2 pass that he played, and then the shot that just sipped over the bar. I thought that was flying right in the top corner from where I was sitting, so he was unlucky. But no, he did. He looked lively. I say maybe there's a redemption arc here. Maybe he's going to turn that around. But I say we'll wait and see. I'm the same as you regarding Nicholas Kuhn. As much as I'd want to play because he's just on fire at the moment, you've got to be realistic about this surface. It can be a thing that can end careers. We've seen it before. Players have been injured for whole seasons after taking an awkward fall on a plastic pitch, so we just need to be careful with that. But Brendan will consider all of that going into the game. So before we, of course, try and play a game of sudden death, we'll give it another go. Hopefully the gremlins don't get us, Liam, or as I'm going to start calling them, the Greglins, because, Greg Taylor likes to come and pull the plug on you every so often. Before the techie gremlins get us with sudden death, every time we've tried it so far, your microphones went to pot. So hopefully, fingers crossed, third time's a charm. predictions then for the game. Liam, how do you think we'll go down at Rugby Park?
Oh, I think we're on a roll. Sexy football is going to win the day 4-0.
4. You do like use 4's been a go-to for you this season.
Yeah.
Any victory will do, but yeah, I'd love a good trouncing of them. That'd be fantastic. And Pam, how do you think it will go?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Liam. I think we have a pep in our step. We're strutting our stuff. I think it'd be a 3-0 win.
Sounds good. Few scores coming in, so looking pretty confident so far. And yeah, I think we'll go down there and win. I think Kelly will get a goal, but I think we'll win 3-1 in the end. And yeah, as long as we get the 3 points, keep ourselves on top of the table until they come back from the international break, because we've got Hearts at Tynecastle coming up as well. What are the chances? The magical fixture computer, everybody, that we get told is so random. 2 grounds that we lost at last season, Rugby Park and Tynecastle. Back-to-back domestic fixtures, trips to Rugby Park and Tynecastle. Who would have thunk it? Who would have thought that would have happened there? So we've got that coming up after the international break. We go to Tynecastle for a Saturday night game, I believe it is, an 8 o'clock kickoff as well. Right. So yeah, that'll be a rowdy atmosphere, that one. But yeah, first and foremost, we need to deal with Kilmarnock. So yeah, it's wins all round, and hopefully it comes fishing. But speaking of wins, Liam definitely needs a win, because we're going to play a game of sudden death. We're going to try. Hopefully your microphone doesn't start bugging out again. What I think it is, Liam, is I don't think your microphone likes short answers where you just give me like a 1-word answer or whatever. I think it doesn't pick it up. So I think you've got to find a way to basically drag out your answer with a bit of a sentence. I think that's how you've got to do it. That's what I'm guessing, because when you talk for a prolonged period, it's fine. But when you do like a 1-word answer or a 2-word answer, it's just like, yeah, it bugs out. So yeah, I will set up all the aesthetics just now. And yeah, we'll play a game of sudden death where it's currently 2-0 to Pam. She's 2-0 up just now in the series. So background going. And of course, as always, comments off. Gets no help from the comments. So let's see, banners, take them off as well. And yeah, we're all good. Okay, so get the music going. This is usually when it bugs out as well, is when I start playing the music. So that could also be something. So I'll turn it down as low as I can, really. Sunday. There we go. Okay. And yeah, we are all good. Okay. So, you won the last time we played sudden death. First or second?
May I go second, please, Phil?
You can indeed. That means you are, of course, entitled to a clue, as always. And Liam, you're up first. So I say you're needing that win, Liam, because you're 2-0 down just now in the series. So tonight's question is a Celtic question. It is related to Celtics. You'd be happy to know that. However, bad news. There are only 10 answers. It is one of those ones where the margin of error will get small very, very quickly. It's one of those types of questions, not very generous on the answers. Okay, so tonight's question is, Celtic recently announced a night with Henrik Larsson, a very famous number 7. Since Henrik has left, 10 players have worn the number 7 jersey on their back, and there are some humdingers in there. So I'm looking for the name of any player who's been allocated the number 7 squad number since the days of Henrik Larsson, which for a reminder was 2004 when he left. So yeah, Liam, any number 7?
Scott McDonald.
Scott McDonald is correct, yes. Scott McDonald. Bang on. Pam.
Oh. I'm just trying to think who our current number 7 is and just work our way back. I think our current number 7 is Lewis Palmer.
It is Lewis Palmer, yes indeed. Correct. Liam.
No. Killian Sheridan.
Did you say Sheridan? Killian Sheridan? No, it's a wrong answer. Wrong answer, unfortunately. No number 7. I say there are some humdingers in this one, by the way. It's embarrassing. I've seen it now. It's embarrassing, some of the number 7s we've had. Pam, over to you.
I'm kind of fucked, to be honest. Sorry. Oh my god.
You are entitled to a clue, by the way. If you want to use it now.
I'll take the clue because I am gone.
This striker that we signed from an SPL team was anything but a Turkish delight.
Oh.
Think about it.
Turkish.
Mm.
The only Turkish player I know would be. Actually, I don't.
Ah.
Oh. I'm fucked. I'm gonna pass.
Pass on that one. Okay, it's a miss. Liam might know it though.
Nadir Sifty.
Nadir Shifty is a correct answer. Yeah, he got the number 7 shot. Oh God, can you imagine? Yeah. And Pam, back over you. It's 2-1 to Liam after 3 shots for him. So this is your third one, Pam. It's a very tough question. It is.
Oh, well, I'm not good with numbers.
Oh, okay,
I'm not good with numbers. That's why I only knew our current one. And I can't remember who it was beforehand. I'm going to take an absolute stab.
Sure.
Because I think he was either a 7 or a 9, but I'm at the stage where I actually can't remember. I'm picturing both numbers on his jersey. Kamara.
No, he wasn't. So that's a wrong one. There's a few Kamaras that we've had over the years, but the one that I think you're thinking of is Henri Kamara, who replaced Henrik. Yeah, he came in after him. We didn't get his shot number.
Right.
Liam, you're in a good position here, mate.
Trying to think some of the dross that we've signed. Right. Well, I'll be in a Yeti. Who's the other one that we signed? Klamala.
No, Klamala is not a number 7. No, but you do maintain your 2-1 lead. Pam, you've got 2 shots left to try and get back into this. Lots of people in the chat are getting a few of them right here. I can't obviously bring the answers.
I know, yeah.
Obviously, I cannot. A lot of people have thrown in names from before the squad number days as well.
I'm trying to think under Ange who would have been, like, who's most likely to have been. This is like ADD thinking, but I think maybe Giacomakis might have been. He's kind of in that role.
Giacomakis is a correct answer. Yes, that is a correct one. That brings it to 2-2. I'll say right now, by the way, if this is a draw after the 5, we're just going to go straight to the tiebreaker. We're not going to do like up to 10 guesses because it could be a long night if we do that. So, Liam, to get yourself 3-2 up with your last shot. I heard Polish there. That's what I heard the most there. Zurawski is correct. Yes, Vasil Zurawski is a correct answer. So you are 3-2 up, Liam. Have you done enough to win it? Have you done enough? Pam, can you salvage this?
I'm absolutely fucked. I'm absolutely fucked. Nah, I'm gone, sorry.
Fair dues, just going to pass on it. That's fine. There's a lot of stinking answers in this one. It's a terrible, terrible selection, really. And again, it shows you how bad the number 7s have been since he left. So yeah, Liam, you've won 3-2, mate. You've got a point on the board, mate. You're back in it. Back in the fight, mate. Good stuff. Right, I'll tell you your missing answers. Some shockers here. So the 5 you didn't get were Juninho. He took the number 7 shot after Henrik left. He got the number 7. Robbie Keane, on the short time that he was on loan, wore the number 7. Freddie Lundberg wore number 7 in the short time he was with Celtic when he signed on a free for like half a season under Lenny. Another Lenny signing the next season, Miku. Remember Miku? He was on loan from Getafe or something like that. He was a number 7. And Patrick Roberts was number 7. When he came back, he had number 7. And they even did hashtag PR7 to be like CR7 on Celtic's social media account to hype him up. But yeah, that was Your other number 7s are on top of the ones that he's already got, which were Scott McDonald, Nadir Chifty, Matthew Zaraski, Lewis Palmer, and Georgios Giacomakis. And there we go. That can close an episode of Sudden Death as well. So yeah, folks, that's another Friday feeling in the can. That's an hour gone. Thanks for joining us tonight. Yes, we'll be back next Friday as well. Well, it's an international break. So yeah, it's an international break. So there isn't much to really talk about unless something really dramatic happens at Celtic, which hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it's a nice calm international break. But yeah, we'll still have shows on throughout the international break as well. But first and foremost, PMP will be on Sunday. So look out for that. Hit that subscribe button. You'll be reminded when it is online for you to go and watch. And hopefully Russell and Terry will be discussing a fantastic Celtic victory and we can keep ourselves top of the table, as Odds and Edward once said, going through this international break. So yeah, we'll head off now, folks. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy your weekends and enjoy watching Celtic on Sunday. We'll catch you later, folks, and cheers for joining us. See you later.